Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to World This Morning with Shiza Hashmi, ladies and gentlemen. Ramzan Kareem, Ramzan Mubarak to everyone watching out there. May it be Muslim brethren, non-Muslims, whoever, because we open our windows of love to more than 40 countries in the world. Well, I know this is, of course, not just the beginning of the month, but I am definitely going to keep saying Ramzan Mubarak throughout this month because it is a month of blessings. It is indeed a blessing from our God. Ladies and gentlemen, this Ramzan happens to be probably the first of my life, which, appeared in summer. And of course, it is so hard for all the Pakistanis, especially out there, and people living abroad as well, who are observing summer because the hours of the day are so long. But kudos to all of you out there. If you're doing it for your Creator, Allah, you are definitely going to get an amazing reward towards the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. And one more thing, I always say, be kind to the people around you, be empathetic, and also be compassionate. I really hope you're doing that because especially when you're fasting, you're getting 70 times the usual reward, and the people around you enjoy it more because everyone's looking for kindness around them. So, we have been doing this thing for quite some days now. In Ramzan, the first segment, we, absolutely dedicate to things that we learn from our religion, especially about this month, the virtues of this month and everything, because even, me and my co-anchor Shahzad are sometimes lacking behind the knowledge that we should have. So this is for all of you out there and for us as well. And the last time we spoke to one of our, very favorite religious scholars, Sandhu Sahab, we spoke about all the misconceptions or the things that we unintentionally do wrong in our fast. But we need to learn them as we're Muslims, and we need to make our fast perfect. But today, we are talking about, again, something which should be a part of our personality, of, the traits that we develop. It has been taught throughout our religion, throughout, ever since our prophets have been, been sent to the planet. And we've been learning this through our book as well. We are talking about Adlo Ehsan today, ladies and gentlemen. The true English explanation or the meaning of it, we will definitely ask the very apt guest that we have with us. On my right-hand side, again, we have been graced by this person who happens to be a chartered accountant, yes, but also a religious scholar. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Imran Sandhu. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm good. And how about yourself?
I'm very good too, but a little less energetic as compared to the other days because, of course, in Ramzan, you're not supposed to have coffee early in the morning, but yay, thanks to Sehri. So how's your Ramzan going?
Ramadan is, mashallah, going very well. And, as we are progressing into the second Ashra, we must understand that the first Ashra is the mercy, and the second Ashra is Astaghfar.
Right.
So but on the other hand, we must also try and understand that how does a society help us? How does Ramzan help the society to move into a better direction? This is an individual. This Ramzan is an individual as well as collective act of worship. Till now, we've been discussing how it affects a personality individually. But today, we've planned to discuss that how it impacts the society. It should impact the society.
Right. Please go ahead.
So, there are different, I would say, the different, departments of a social life.
Okay.
Faith is on top of it.
Okay.
Rather, if I say if it's a multi-story building, faith is the base of a society.
Okay, the foundation of it.
The foundation of it. That's a very good word that you've used. The base or the foundation, as a building has a foundation, and the society which is based on faith is a very strong society.
Right.
And we Muslims, alhamdulillah, we are a society based on faith, especially our country, Pakistan. We are we are based on La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. We got our country on this fact. La ilaha illallah Muhammad
And
Rasulullah.
Sandhu Saab, since you very rightly said, especially when it is built on the foundation of faith, it is a very strong and large community as well. I mean, it's not only about Pakistan, but when we talk about Muslim Ummah, it is so huge. I mean, one of the largest population of the planet right now. And then we create such a strong bond as well, right?
Right. So faith actually bonds us as Muslim Ummah.
Okay.
And then we've got different Muslim countries, they've got their own culture as well,
Yeah.
but we've got a collectivity as well.
Right.
So, this adl and ihsan, it starts from faith.
Okay.
Then the second story, or the ground is our actions.
Okay.
Muslim society should be based on actions.
Right, of course.
And actions should be, be done by adl and ihsan.
Oh, okay.
The main two actions that any person individually and any society collectively, if the departments in that society or the organizations of that society, for example, courts,
Okay.
they should practice adl and ihsan.
Sandhu Saab, I have to stop you over here before we move on. There's so many spheres of life, where we can definitely practice adl and ihsan. But since I mentioned, our audiences happens to be outside Pakistan as well. So for all the people who don't understand adl and ihsan, let's a clear picture for them, please.
So adl, if we translate into English,
Yeah.
it's the most appropriate word would be justice.
Justice, absolutely.
Right?
Right.
And justice with balance. And ihsan is doing anything without considering that you would be rewarded by someone, rather you will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is ihsan.
Beautiful. Okay.
Right? So if we are doing justice within our lives and within our family and within our society, we are not doing it because we have to do it for each other. No, we are doing it because of the perception of ihsan that we own. That is, we are doing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
As Quran says, inna allaha ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan.
Okay.
So there is an ayah of Quran that says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders you to be just in your actions,
Right.
whether it is based out of faith or out of your business and trade,
Okay.
and ethics and values and society in general and politics.
Wow.
And even governance. You have to practice adl and ihsan at every level.
Let's start
Justice
with politics and governance then.
Yeah, I would say that this is a multi-story building, as
Okay.
I was saying.
Okay.
Faith is the
At the bottom of it.
foundation.
Yeah.
Then your daily life is based on actions that you do. You go to your office.
Okay.
You have to go on time. This is adl and ihsan. You have to say 5 times pray the worship. That
Right.
is adl and ihsan over there. And then you have to be modest in the
Okay.
society.
Okay.
And that is adl and ihsan over there for
Right.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then your politics has to be the politics of moderation, not extremism.
Okay.
Being very loyal to your people.
Right.
This is adl and ihsan for a politician. You don't have to be corrupt. You have to refrain from being corrupt. So this is adl and ihsan for a politician.
Right.
And then the governance framework should be that all the organizations should work within their framework.
Okay.
So and at the same time they
Be
should be
cohesive as
connected
well.
with it.
Right,
They should have a cohesive force so that the unity is not compromised.
Okay, so Sandhu Saab, next thing, since we're talking about so many different spheres of life where we can practice adl wa ihsan, let's talk about how we can practice adl wa ihsan in our family lives. I do have a question for you. Of course, you're the right person to answer this because you're a religious scholar. Ladies and gentlemen, every other day, a lot of you might, not like me saying this, but every other day I come across men boasting of it and saying, I'm going to marry more than once because my religion allows me to. But the religion allows you to do 2 things, and you forget the second part. You are allowed to marry more than once, but if you can practice adl and insaf in your relationships, you forget the second part. And that is what we're going to talk about right now. Yes, Sandhu Saab.
Yeah, so in Quran, Allah has made it mubah to marry 2, 3 or 4 ladies for men,
right,
out of the needs, needs from both sides.
Okay.
Like this is a topic that is discussed, and that's not a controversial topic in Muslim world.
Of course.
But the thing is, the main I would say pillar of the this life, marital life, is adal and again ihsan.
Okay.
If you cannot do adal financially,
okay,
in your attitude,
okay,
then if you've not practiced it with one wife, you are having challenges, practicing it amongst your children. You must try to first get the knowledge and the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had wives, and he would go to every wife on a daily basis.
Right.
Nowadays, with this kind of busy schedules, you would not be able to, if
maintain balance.
Maintain balance. I'm not saying that you don't have a potential to maintain balance, but nowadays I can safely say we don't read Quran on a daily basis. We don't unfortunately we should do it. Read Hadith on daily basis.
Absolutely.
And the basis of adal and ihsan in our personal life is based on knowledge.
Right.
And we are not even educated in a proper way how to implement these two into our daily life. So first I would say, whoever wants to go and marry twice or thrice, you are allowed. He should first go and read in Quran what adal and ihsan means.
Right.
Like, if I take a test of most of the people and ask what is the meaning of this ayah, I'm sure the level of education that we are having nowadays, he would not be understanding it properly. If he does not understand Quran properly or Hadith, how would be he able to do adal or ihsan?
Absolutely, that's so true.
This means I'm not saying that this should not be done. I'm totally for it. But again, that the person who is not going to be doing adal, he's going to be he has to answer Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely, towards the end, definitely that is what you have to do, answer Allah. But Sandhu sahab, moving on to how we can observe and practice adl ihsan in businesses and trade, especially in Ramzan. Price hikes, oh my God, because this is a month for everyone out there, and the less fortunate segments of the society want to enjoy and observe it as much as we do, right? But vegetables are so expensive. I mean, you have to make pakode are like a definite part of iftari every day, and then vegetables and eggs and everything when you're talking about the basic needs. Then, I mean, what are we looking at? Definitely, I know for a fact that just for 1 month, the price cannot go high as of the market, right? So it is the people, the vendors that themselves are doing it. Why can't they, experience or even practice ihsan?
This is this question is, I would say, this is the attitude that we need to learn. As a society, we must understand that greed is against humanity.
Right.
If you are greedy enough to put things in a do pricing in a way that you do not have a compassion and mercy for the people in the society, that is the thing that is going to make you disbalance.
Absolutely.
The imbalance of this imbalance of this kind of greed is going to make you go out of adl, moderation, I would say. So Ramadan gives you a very, very good opportunity. Our sellers should think that it is giving us an opportunity that we don't, because of increase in demands, people start buying for giving iftars.
Right.
So demand definitely increases. There's a lot of parties going on, iftar parties, the demand. So with this increase of demand, the business community should put their share by not increasing prices of, rather they should give discounts.
Absolutely, that
You
is
know,
what
the
we
more
expect,
discounts they
right?
would give, at the end of the day, I can definitely tell if you decrease the price, you are going to increase your sales.
Obviously,
So
obviously.
this is one portion of it. The other portion is, you know, in this Ramzan, as a you know, as a Pakistani, I would really like our government and other people to show some more compassion. Try to creep out of this issue of, you know,
Inflation.
inflation. Rightly said, the inflation is an effect. The cause of inflation is, I would say, is riba or interest,
Okay.
usury. You know, so as a Muslim state, even it's mentioned in our constitution. It's
Okay.
a constitution balance as well, that we have promised with our society, that we should try to creep out slowly and steadily out of this, you know,
menace that we are in.
the menace we are in. You know, ultimately what happens is, you know, all the usury or the interest that is accrued by the banks,
Right.
they are paid by whom? The businesses.
Right, right.
And then from where the businesses get their money?
Yeah.
From the general public. So the impact of that interest indirectly comes on the society.
Sir, you know what, Sandhu Sahab, when we're talking about, you very rightly said that indirectly is the right word. We, the general public, are a part of this system of interest and usury that you already mentioned. I mean, we don't even know how and when we're becoming a part of it. How can we avoid it?
Well,
Because
you know,
you don't want, I mean, you know, any sort of sin to come onto you because of something that you're not a part of directly.
definitely there are things that we can do individually.
Okay.
At least we can talk
Yeah.
against it. This is the first thing that we would like to do. That I'm not going to take interest.
Right.
Right? And I'm not going to support transactions with interest.
Okay,
Right?
perfect.
For example, if you know, you are enjoying a credit card facility, you should first start from home.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to get into credit card. Then secondly, what you can do, you can transform yourself from you know, conventional banking to you know, bankings that are not pro interest.
Okay.
Rather they try to refrain from interest.
Okay,
Like
perfect.
Islamic banking,
Yeah, right.
you know, banks, they try to refrain from interests. So you know, and our society is moving in that way.
Yeah.
I've seen the you know, financial statements of some of the banks.
Okay.
They have got swelling deposits. You know, they don't have money. They have got a lot of money to invest, but they don't have the opportunities to invest. So I can see our society is definitely moving itself to a non-interest based society.
Okay.
Now, I would say that the government should also try and play its role.
Right.
We as society members should try and play our role, and you know, be assertive with our government in a political sense.
Okay.
That okay, we need you to start bringing this interest rate down to zero, which is its
Right.
actual place.
Absolutely.
You know, in Japan, the interest rate is almost trending towards zero, and they say,
We should learn from them.
yeah, and look at their businesses. Their businesses are booming. They are the best manufacturers in the world.
Yeah.
So this is how we should be, you know, going about it.
Thank you so much, Sandhu Sahab. But towards the very end, a closing note for what we learned today, Adlo Ehsan.
Yeah, so I would definitely say that, you know, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Quran, Alladhi khalaqaka wa fasawwaka fa'adalak. Look, I have created you, I have perfected you, and I have made you in best proportions, adalak.
Right.
So we should try to bring a very good proportion
Absolutely.
of, you know, events and actions into our life. We should be mu'tadil, or be moderate in our faith, in our businesses, as we discussed, in our politics,
Right,
in
governance.
in our governance, in our social matters. We should
Right.
not be spendthrift. We should be modest. So this is all that encompasses this word adal and ihsan, and we should do it not for each other, but rather for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The one who is omnipresent. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much again for educating us and enlightening us early in the morning, especially Mr. Imran, Sandhu. Ladies and gentlemen, I know there are, you know, people who are probably not as privileged as we are. I mean, we are definitely spending this month Ramzan in a beautiful manner, I'd like to say. But some are, unfortunately, Sandhu Sahib, even bedridden or in the hospitals, or probably not even living with their families. They're not, because of the conditions that they're living in, they're probably not even fasting. But that is why we are here to share our Ramzan mornings with you and educate and inform you about your religion, about this month as much as we can, because we love learning too. Right now, we're heading out to a very short break, but when we come back again, we're discussing something very interesting. I'm not giving it away. Stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome back to World This Morning, which is a Hashmi, ladies and gentlemen. And as if you were watching and if you were not, let me tell you again, in the first segment, we spoke about Adlo Ehsan, especially in the light of this beautiful, beautiful, blessed month Ramzan. But right now, we are slightly drifting away from that topic, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk about the reading habits of Pakistanis, or, reading books at all, the importance of reading. When we talk about, today's world, we are definitely moving towards globalization, but that is also sort of, moving and taking us away from the real essence of book reading. I mean, with the technological developments and everything, we have tabs, we have laptops, even on our phone, we have every basic information that we need, and not the, exact amount of information, but the highlights of the information that we need, because this is SMS generation. The brain can only probably retain 5% of the things that we read. But that is unfortunate, definitely, because reading books was, as far as I remember, when we were little, our parents used to, read bedtime stories to us, and it was so interesting. I mean, you take the parts of, that book throughout your life. This is what we are going to talk about, and without further ado, I'm going to be introducing my guests to you. This panel happens to be so apt. I am so excited about this conversation. Already on my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined by someone who is the country representative for World Book International. He is none other than Muhammad Amin. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much.
Ramzan Mubarak, how's it going for you?
It's going well, thank
Alhamdulillah. Next to Mr. Muhammad Amin, we have someone who happens to be, well, a Sitara Imtiaz. He is retired Colonel Muhammad Akmal. He happens to be a life coach, also motivational speaker. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
And next to Colonel Saab, we have someone who's been on the show before, I clearly remember, and he happens to be the ex-public information officer at the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, he's none other than Muhammad Abdul Wahab. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
So I'm absolutely doing great. So let's start with, well, the importance of book reading. With you. This is, of course, a general question. We will definitely move on to, in terms of Pakistan. But since we are talking about reading in books, ladies and gentlemen, it dates back to hundreds and thousands of years ago when, there was not even paper or a pen to write with. But the scriptures of that era have still been preserved in sometimes clay or even in stone for the generations to come and remember what happened in those eras, which is so beautiful. So the, importance of book reading for children and even for adults. Let's start with you, sir.
Actually, reading is very important because reading is feeding to brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brain consists of billion of cells, and most of the cells, if they are not used, they die.
Oh.
Okay, so reading a book is very important because we get all the information from the book. We get knowledge. Okay, that change lives.
Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, there is no concept of reading in our country.
Right.
That we will talk, as you said, later about it.
Of course.
But there is no difference between a child who does not read and who cannot read. Both are equally illiterate.
Right, and it's even sadder for the one who can read but does not read.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm going to change my question a bit for all of you. Let's start with the one book that you can name right now that you've read and had the most impact on your life. Let's start with you, Abdul Wahab.
Well, if you talk about that, I'll go back to a novel, A Passage to India.
Oh, okay.
Which I read in my master's. And let me tell you that one single novel helped me to know the overall state of India and the people of India.
Okay.
We are talking about undivided India,
okay.
you see.
Continent, right.
So that single book, if you give a thorough and minute reading, it will tell you how complicated this subcontinent had been right from the beginning, when Britishers were here. You see, so most of the problems we have, they originate from the intricacies of culture.
Okay.
Because we have so many cultures within the subcontinent.
It's an amalgamation of so many years.
Exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, if I hadn't read that book, perhaps it would have been almost impossible for me to understand the real nature of India and the people and all the ills we are having.
Right.
And it really helped me to know the psychology of the people.
Okay.
You go to any other part of the world, you will find usually people from a single culture.
Okay.
But when we talk about this region,
Yeah.
there would be thousands of cultures.
Absolutely, heterogeneous.
And because of that difference in culture, that really complicates things here. So
That's
I
true.
must say, I mean, reading is perhaps the most important thing in the development of a personality.
Wow, beautiful.
Because we read, then we can speak better.
Right.
We can write better. We can communicate better.
Right.
If we are not good readers, we cannot succeed in all walks of life.
So beautiful, so beautiful. Moving on to Colonel Saab, your favorite book that has had the most impact on you?
Oh, well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For asking such a generic question, because somehow I was fortunate to have born in a family where the books were darlings.
Okay, wow.
My grandparents, my aunts, uncles, my father. So right from the beginning, that kind of love with the book that started right from very early age. But then at some point in time, I started thinking that books are living beings.
Wow.
They are living beings. They talk to you. They give all the shoulders to cry on with. And my early times, once I started reading the books, the very first book I read was Colonel Muhammad Khan's Bajang Ahmad.
Okay, okay.
And that influenced so much into my life that I literally changed my thinking about the life, and I aspired to join the military service because of that book. Because of that book.
Beautiful, right?
So Colonel Muhammad Khan, an iconic person in the military, right amongst the military writers,
absolutely.
had written a few more books. We can talk about
definitely.
later.
So that is the one that had most impact on you. That's beautiful. Moving on to you, Muhammad Amin Saab. What book and what sort of impact?
Well, I remember when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
I read a book, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I love it.
That was a lovely story.
Yeah.
But the message I got from that book was, because that Alice, is going on a road, and she asked that little cat, where does this road lead to?
Yeah.
Okay, and that little cat, answered that where you want to go. She said, I really don't know where I want to go. She said, then it doesn't matter where does this road lead to, or where does this, you can keep on going.
Right.
So that book taught me, okay, to have a destination in life, to have a goal.
Right.
That's what, that book taught me.
Wow,
to have a goal in life. And that's why, I must say, if you have dreams, dreams give you goals, goals give you success.
That is so true. That is absolutely so true.
And like we say, reading, education is important for success. We all know that.
Yes.
But very few people they know that reading is key to education. Reading is key to education.
Definitely it is.
Like, my colleague said, Mr. Abdul Wahab, that we can communicate well. Reading is basically, timeless form of entertainment and information.
Right. It can stay with you and, be your partner whenever you want it to be.
And books are the quietest friend,
Yes, that is so beautiful. And okay, so now let's come to Pakistan. First of all, do we all agree that because of the technological advancement and because of such a fast-moving lifestyle, we have sort of drifted away from books? Do we all agree on that? Yeah, okay, true. So just a few days back, I was in conversation with some teenagers, and I was interested in, learning what sort of books they read. And I asked them, what do you read? And the answer was captions. And as sad as this is, I mean, the captions, ladies and gentlemen, are the small sort of, explanation of your photo that you put up on your social media. That was so sad. But, I mean, when we look at this and losing touch with the books, not only, in the hard form, but even we're not reading on our tabs, etc. Right. All the amount of reading we're doing is the probably, 80 to 90 word headlines, not even the full news article that we're talking about. Exactly. What is this going to do on a more national level? Especially, let's talk about Pakistanis. Then we can move on to global level. Let's start with you, Colonel Saab.
In fact, this habit has to be inculcated right in the beginning of childhood. You have to make your children read in their infant age. Right. Otherwise, once they come to the schooling and they start reading their all academic books they read, they don't find time then to go. And especially the literature part. Okay. The literature part, because I learned that in my early age. And this literature from Urdu, the literature is so rich, so absorbing.
Right.
that you start living almost the lives after lives, lives after lives. Wow. Once you go through those books, right. And these books are then become your assets.
Absolutely.
These assets should be transferred to the next generation, with all generosity, Absolutely. Otherwise, we are going nowhere. We are going nowhere if we are not urging our children to love books, to read books, and that is so bad to know that this trend has almost, it's dying down all over, in all segments of our culture, our society. Right, people are not aptly going towards the literature.
Yeah. Or reading at all. Do you know, there was a research study, well, not in parts of Pakistan, but in other parts of especially the US, which said that it spoke about high school students, and it said only 1% of them had studied outside of their curriculum. That is sad. I mean, it is very sad to say this, and I'm almost guilty as well. I am one of the students who wouldn't read outside the curriculum. Yes, it gets boring, but it's very bad. Do not do what I did, because I'm suffering. What do you have with you, Muhammad Amin sir?
You see, you just mentioned in US, in early 80s there was computer craze.
Okay.
And children, you know, I mean, say they were going away from books. And their National Commission on Excellence in Education, they did a survey. Okay. And they came up, you know, with very alarming, you know, reports.
Right.
And one of the extract I remember from that report, they said that each generation of Americans has outstripped its parents in education, in literacy, and in economic attainment.
Oh, okay.
For the first time in the history of our country, the educational skills of one generation will not surpass, will not equal, will not even approach to those of their parents.
Wow.
And that was a really alarming situation.
It is indeed.
Yeah, so what they did, President Reagan was there and he declared 1987 as Year of Readers, okay, by official proclamation. And then, you know, I mean, say, the children came back to the books.
Right, okay.
They came back to books. Over here now the computer craze is going on. Like you said, you know, the tabs and, you know, smartphones and everything is there.
Right.
Like, you know, Colonel Saab said that right from the beginning.
Yes.
Here I've got something you can read out.
Can we have a focus on this as well, please?
This says, you know, that babies are born with billions of brain cells.
Okay.
Connections between cells allow learning to occur.
Okay.
These connections are strengthened by repeated use. Those connections that are not used will die. The brain is literally shaped by the input and experience you provide.
Okay.
You cannot control the physical growth of the brain, but you can certainly determine what goes into it.
Oh,
what book, what should we read?
Right.
Not only novels or, like you said, you know, the captions. What goes into it, that is very important. And that
what you're feeding.
Yeah, that is the part of, you know, I mean, that is the real role of parents.
Right, okay.
Physical growth of the brain from birth to adulthood is like birth to,
okay.
You can see from birth it is 1/4 of the size, 18 months it is 1/12 of the size,
right.
6 years it is 9/10 of the size, and that is the adult full size.
Oh, okay, perfect. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, the gist of this all is that, you know, definitely your brain is going to grow in size with your age, but what you feed to it is what you're going to study, I mean, in all sorts of books. So, okay, towards, since we're very short on time, just a very quick Gallup survey was held in Pakistan and, you know, different provinces as well. It said that the highest number of people who do read, especially from the rural areas, read digests. And then come poetry books. Well, that was it. I mean, look at this. Should we even say it's a good thing to read digests? I mean, I remember people from my village, you know, some relatives of mine reading some scary stories from digests, and, you know, because of course this is sort of an entertainment for them. Of course, first of all, it is a good thing to read, but to read such stuff, what should they be resorting to? Let's start with you, please.
Well, you know, if you talk about reading digests, especially the digests we have, they discuss romance, discuss crime, they discuss societal problems.
Okay.
You see, so when people only focus on those digests, what happens is they come up with a limited approach.
Right.
Or sometimes that approach is really, I must say, it's not good for society as well.
Okay.
We need to have people who have progressive bent of mind.
Right.
People need to have extensive reading.
Yeah. And not just resort to fiction,
exactly,
right?
You know,
Absolutely.
and the worst of our luck is people or students, they focus on studies for the sake of jobs.
Right, that's true. Thank you so much for saying that. Since we're very short on time, Colonel Saab, just the last question for you. In terms of the textbooks that we have, storybooks that we have, even the digests and magazines, the curriculum books, what are the changes that you expect for the next generation to have in their books?
I should be talking something about my experience in the military service.
Okay.
And there we make it a point that every officer must read very, regularly.
Okay.
And what we then do, that we assign few books to the junior officers,
Okay.
and we ask them to read and then submit the book review.
Okay.
So like then they have to find time and submit that.
Okay.
We must inculcate such things in our students,
Right.
to our generations, those who are in these schools and colleges. They
Right.
must be given some additional book, extracurricular, which they must read and submit, and that should be made part of their curriculum, and it should be graded.
Wow, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with me early in the morning, and especially when you're fasting, because I understand how hard it can get. We had an amazing conversation. Thank you again. And you know, since you very rightly mentioned Colonel Saab, I feel like this is a sort of a military tradition as well. One of my teachers happens to be a military man, and this semester what he did was, you know, he assigned a book to every student, and he asked for a book review. There was a presentation on it, you know, in class, what you read from it, your own criticism and everything. So I feel like it's a good thing. Absolutely, we learned so much.
Today's readers are tomorrow's leaders.
Oh, wow. Today's readers are tomorrow's leaders. I feel like this should have been the bug on our show as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you learned something from us, please write on the Facebook page with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, World This Morning without a G. We are also on Dailymotion and YouTube with the name of World This Morning. And if you have missed this, it's all right. After Iftari around, 11:05 in the night, you can watch the repeat. Till the next time, take care. Remember my team and myself in your prayers. Good morning. Okay.